What if the most famous battle in history was never really about fighting? Two armies, a valley between them, 40 days of the same thing, a giant walking out at every morning and every evening, shouting the same challenge across the same silence, watching the same army back away from him one more time. Nobody moved. Not the king. Not the generals. Not the warriors who had spent their entire lives training for exactly this kind of moment. They saw Goliath, and they ran. Then a boy showed up to deliver lunch to his brothers. You think you know this story. You have heard it used as shorthand for underdogs and long odds and the occasional upset. All of that is in here. But the story is doing something else too. Something that cuts closer. It is asking what you are actually looking at when you look at the giant. The Philistines and Israel had been fighting for generations. The Philistines held the coast and pushed inland. Israel held the hills. Every battle was a negotiation over who would eventually have to leave. By the time this story opens, both armies had taken up positions on opposite sides of a valley. Philistines on one hill, Israel on the other. The valley between them, the Valley of Elah, was where the deciding moment was supposed to happen. It did not happen. Instead, every morning and every evening for 40 days, one man walked out of the Philistine camp into that valley and shouted across the silence. His name was Goliath, from Gath. And the first thing the Bible does when it introduces him is give you his measurements: over 9 feet tall, bronze helmet, body armor weighing around 125 pounds, bronze greaves, a javelin across his back, a spear with a 15-pound iron point, a shield-bearer walking in front of him. Those numbers are doing something. This is not a large man. This is a different category of thing entirely. A weapon that happened to be alive. An argument against fighting that walked upright and came out twice a day to make sure you had not forgotten. His challenge was simple. Send one man out. If he kills me, we serve you. If I kill him, you serve us. One fight. Done. 40 days. Same challenge. Same valley. Same response from Israel every time. They ran from him. Jesse had 8 sons. The 3 oldest were in Saul's army in the valley. The youngest was home in Bethlehem doing what he had always done, watching sheep. David was not a soldier. He was not standing on that hill trying to talk himself into something. He was in the fields, alone with the animals, doing the work nobody particularly valued or noticed. Jesse sent him to the camp with food, bread and grain for his brothers, 10 cheeses for the unit commander. Go and see how they are doing. David left early. He found a keeper for the sheep before he left, small detail, responsible kid, and arrived at the camp just as the army was heading out to take their positions. He found his brothers. They were talking when Goliath walked out. Same routine, same valley, same challenge. The men of Israel ran from him and were very much afraid. David heard the soldiers talking around him. Someone mentioned what the king had promised: wealth, his daughter in marriage, the family exempt from taxes, to whoever killed the Philistine. David started asking questions. What happens to the man who kills him? Who does this Philistine think he is, defying the armies of the living God? His oldest brother Eliab heard him, and his face changed. Why are you even here? Who have you left those sheep with? I know exactly what you are. You are conceited and your heart is wicked. You just came to watch. There is something sharp in that accusation. Eliab had been on that hill for 40 days. 40 mornings of watching the giant come out. 40 evenings of watching him walk back. And now his youngest brother shows up asking questions Eliab had stopped asking. And something about it is unbearable. David looked at him. What have I done now? Can I not even speak? He turned away and asked someone else. Word got back to Saul. Saul sent for him. David stood before the king and said something nobody in the tent had said in 40 days. Your servant will go and fight this Philistine. Saul looked at him. You cannot go, you are young. He has been a warrior his whole life. David said, Your servant has been keeping his father's sheep. When a lion came and took a sheep from the flock, I went after it, hit it, and pulled the sheep from its mouth. When it turned on me, I grabbed it by the jaw and killed it. I have killed lions and bears. This Philistine will be the same, because he has defied the armies of the living God. The Lord who rescued me from the lion and the bear will rescue me from this Philistine." Nobody in the room had heard any of this before. Nobody knew that this kid had been chasing predators through the fields outside Bethlehem with nothing but a sling, that he had grabbed bears, that he had done it alone, in the dark, with no one watching and no reward coming. He had not been waiting to find out if he was brave. He had been finding out for years. Saul said, "Go, may the Lord be with you." He put his own armor on David. Helmet, coat of mail, sword. David tried to walk. He could not move right. He had not tested any of it. None of it fit. And he took it all off. He picked up his staff. He went to the stream and chose 5 smooth stones and put them in his shepherd's bag, his sling in his hand, and he walked toward Goliath. Goliath saw him coming and genuinely could not process what he was seeing. This was Israel's champion. A boy, a stick, a bag. "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" He cursed David by his gods. "Come here and I will feed you to the birds." David answered, "You come at me with sword and spear and javelin. I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will hand you over to me. I will cut off your head. The whole world will know there is a God in Israel. Everyone here will know that the Lord does not save by sword or spear. The battle belongs to the Lord." He did not say, "I will try." He did not hedge or qualify or ask for one more sign. He said what was going to happen before a single stone left his hand. That is not bravado. That is what faith sounds like when it has been tested in private and held. Goliath moved toward him. David ran toward Goliath. He reached into his bag, took out a stone, slung it. It hit Goliath in the forehead. The stone went in. The giant fell face forward on the ground. David ran to him, took Goliath's own sword, and cut off his head. The Philistines saw their champion was dead and ran. Israel surged forward with a shout and chased them all the way back to their own cities. The valley that had held 40 days of shame became the place where everything turned. Every man in that army looked at Goliath and thought, "He is too big to fight." David looked at Goliath and thought, "He is too big to miss." Same giant, completely different way of seeing him. And which of those two thoughts you have is what determines whether you spend 40 days on the hill or walk out into the valley. 4 things stay with me from this story. The first, what everyone else is afraid of is sometimes the exact thing you have been quietly prepared for. David did not train in any army. He had no military education, no formation drills, no weapons training worth mentioning. He had years alone in fields learning to protect sheep from predators with a sling. Nobody designed that as preparation for anything. It just was what it was. And then one afternoon it turned out to be exactly what the moment needed. Whatever you are doing right now that feels small and unobserved, pay attention to it. You do not always know what it is getting you ready for. The second, courage is not the absence of fear. It is looking at something other than the thing that is frightening you. The men of Israel were not weak. They were soldiers. They had fought before. But they were looking at Goliath and doing the math, and the math was bad. David was looking at something else. He was looking at what Goliath had done, stood in a valley and insulted the God of Israel out loud, twice a day, for 40 days, and that was what mattered to him. Fear and faith are both a response to reality. They are just responding to different parts of it. The third, what you do in private is what you actually are. Nobody saw David kill the lion. Nobody logged the bear. No record was kept, no commendation given. He did it because the sheep needed protecting. And then one day he walked into a king's tent and described those moments, and they became the only evidence that mattered. The track record built in private is what God uses when the public moment arrives. What you do when nobody is watching does not disappear. It is accumulating. The fourth, every giant has one place the armor does not cover. Goliath was defended from every angle. bronze on every surface, a shield-bearer walking ahead of him, but his forehead was exposed. One small gap in everything he had built to protect himself. Every problem that looks impenetrable has one. The question is not whether you can beat it on its own terms. It is whether you can find the gap and put your stone there. David did not try to outmuscle Goliath. He used what he had, aimed where the armor ended, and trusted that the God of Israel would do what he had always done. The giant fell. He always does.